On to a very, very worrying story at the moment. Taps are fast running dry in the Nelson Mandela Bay Metro.
Now, the maintenance team of the municipality has discovered that water can no longer be extracted from the Impofu Dam due to the low water levels.
At least 30 suburbs in the metro have been affected by this outage.
A water crisis fast approaching. The metro is also struggling to contain the high level of consumption. The current daily water usage is 290 megalitres, while the target is 230 megalitres. Numerous areas have already experienced water cuts due to infrastructure failures and empty reservoirs. Residents are feeling the pinch of dry taps.
The water crisis is very bad in our area. We have no water in the taps. Even the tanks that are brought here are not safe. They are just here in the streets, so at night we don't know if people contaminate this water. We are living in fear.
We have no water here in KwaNobuhle. Just up the street, 2 people died in a fire. And as a community, we could not help because we had no water.
It also irritates me, the fact that government is not building new dams. You know, we need new dams. You get all this rain and it's just wasted. It runs in, sometimes you get this lovely rain and it is not hitting the catchment areas.
The metro loses 30% of its water through leaks. This has also raised much concern from the local business chamber.
We believe that to label the water shortage facing Nelson Mandela Bay as a drought is not accurate, as what we are currently experiencing is a water management crisis. While we acknowledge that the lack of rain and resultant low dam levels have been one of the factors contributing to the water crisis, there are a number of other issues which have further worsened the situation, such as the lack of accountability and urgency from municipal leadership in dealing with the water issues, budget and procurement bottlenecks, lack of investment and maintenance of infrastructure.
The metro says a number of interventions are in place to augment water supply.
We are delivering water through water tankers to communities that are affected, and we hope that the situation is going to improve. Our desperation in actual fact is rain. We need rain at our catchment areas. The second desperation that we have is we need our residents to drastically reduce their water usage.
The combined level of the metro's 5 supply dams is currently at 12.22%. Residents are urged to use water sparingly. Lwando Nomoi, SABC News, Gqeberha.
All right, so a very important story, and we really are hoping that we can be joined by Joseph Tsatsire. He is the acting director for water and infrastructure at the Nelson Mandela Bay Municipality. I mean, day zero is round the corner. So many different areas within the municipality have now brought about water restrictions, basically saying water shedding between 10 a.m. and like 4 in the afternoon, that there will be no water, if not longer than that. So it is a dire situation, and we're hoping that we get to talk to him during the program, well, after the sad break, hopefully. Yeah. So on to this the story now that we're talking day zero, and what a story this really is. I mean, we saw that insert that came from the Nelson Mandela Bay Municipality, and all talking to the fact that the taps are fast running dry in the Nelson Mandela Bay Metro. The maintenance team of the municipality has discovered that water can no longer be extracted from the Impofu Dam due to the low water levels. At least 30 suburbs now have been affected by that outage. So for more on the story and the insert that we just showed you a few minutes ago, Joseph Tsatsire, he is the acting director for water and infrastructure at the Nelson Mandela Bay Municipality. Thank you very, very much for joining us on the program.
Good morning, Leah, and good morning to your viewers.
This is certainly not a very pretty picture that we are seeing emerging out of the Eastern Cape, and we'll particularly be focusing now on the Nelson Mandela Bay Metro. We looked at that insert, and if that is anything to go by, I would be very, very worried if I was living there. How bad is this situation?
Thank you, Leanne, for the opportunity. I think the Metro has been experiencing drought since 2015. We last had, our dams full, around November 2015 after September 2015 rains. And since then, we have been actually having declining dam levels. As we speak now, currently, we are having, our combined dam levels sitting at 12%. This means that most of our western dams, that supply water to the western side of the city, are going to run dry, in the next possibly plus or minus 15 to 70 days, depending which one are you looking at. And obviously, it is a precarious position that we find ourselves in. There is some kind of continuity which has been provided in terms of people getting basic consumption, and the Metro is working around the clock to ensure that, lives are not severely disrupted.
What plans are in place? I mean, you tell us that from 2015, 2016, there's been a problem. We know this. I mean, we've covered this extensively. But what infrastructure plans have happened in terms of building new infrastructure through all these years? What has happened? I mean, linking river basins for new supplies from other dams. You know this is a problem. What have you done about it?
Leon, there's quite a number of, drought intervention projects that has been instituted, since 2015. One of the projects is Noikadak Phase 3, where we have actually expanded, the treatment works at one of our treatment works that gets water from Kharib system, that is in the Orange River. And this year, the view actually putting in on a different source of water into the reticulation system, which is currently not experiencing drought. As we speak, two-thirds of the city is actually, benefiting from that scheme. It was actually completed in April, and we are testing and ensuring that, it's functioning properly. So as we speak, we are not going to have a total day zero in the Metro because of this scheme that we are benefiting from currently. There is quite a number of borehole projects that we have embarked on, and most of them, they're going to actually provide us with water, around August, September this year. And again, plus or minus, 30 megaliters of water is going to be actually provided into our grid system. So there's been quite various interventions that has been actually initiated. It's only that they were late in the game, but obviously around September, we should be able to get additional water into the grid that will actually lessen the impact, of drought currently, which we are experiencing. And again, from an efficiency and operational point of view, there's quite a number of, dealing with leaks. We have actually streamlined our processes to ensure that we respond quicker to leaks. And by that, we actually then save, water that is being wasted and retained, into our system to actually push the day zero out. Let me emphasize that it's only 40% of the areas that's going to be affected by this. And obviously, in terms of our emergency continuity plan, we have designed, what you call, water collection points, where residents are going to be able to actually go and collect water from reticulation. We also have got rainwater tanks that are placed on strategic areas in the city to ensure that, residents can actually pick up, water for basic consumption.
Okay, so let me quiz you on a few things you've said, because I just want to get back to that issue of saying that you're trying to save water and make sure that if there is a problem that you get people out to fix it as soon as possible. There are reports from people that live in the area saying that it takes up to 10 days for you to actually pitch up to fix a water leak. Up to 10 days could be a minimum sometimes. It could even be longer. You had a policy of 48 hours, and that is not being realized. So that water that could be used, that is a problem, is just not being fixed. I mean, something that they say, this was during a committee meeting, they say 2,194 leaks dating back to 2014 happened. The city also needs to look at the reasons for high water consumption amongst households, and that these problems are just not being fixed. In fact, they're getting worse. So how do you explain that away when you are saying that you are doing all you can to ensure that you fix these leaks very quickly?
Leon, as part of the water business, the maintenance regime of water infrastructure on a day-to-day basis requires that you fix leaks. Because of aging infrastructure, there are parts that fail on a day-to-day basis. And it is the responsibility of the water sector to actually ensure that, they actually deal with these leaks. They obviously, part of the backlog that happens on a day-to-day basis, we had plus or minus 3,500 leaks. That we have actually assigned, external service providers as well as internal teams to actually intensify and repair them quicker. We actually aim and aspire to actually have, 48-hour, as our turnaround times. With the resources that are currently at our disposal as we speak, we are actually winning that fight. And I think more leaks are actually then being dealt with, in less than 5 days. And we actually inspired to do leaks, around a 48-hour period.
Do you have proper plumbers working? Because the last report I read was that you only have learner plumbers that are basically learning on the job. You don't have qualified plumbers that are actually leading something like this.
Leon, that's not true. We have got 38 plumbing teams, qualified, trade tested, that actually know, that have actually done, plumbing as a trade. We've got 38 teams on our books. And as I said, we have actually augmented them with external service providers. We have now 9 on our books that are actually assisting us, in repairing leaks. We also have got what we call installation inspectors that actually looks after, small leaks like your meter leaks and so forth. And all these teams are actually hands on the deck to ensure that, we reduce consumption, artificial consumption as a result of leaks.
Yeah. So when we have a look at some of the measures that have been put in place, I'm reading that within Kucha, they're saying that water shedding has now started from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Can you confirm this? I mean, I'm not sure if that's your domain, but will the same be coming into the Nelson Mandela Bay? Will you be seeing other areas that are going to go through load shedding, or is that already the case?
Leon, we're not going to be doing water shedding in the Nelson Mandela Metro, and for reasons that are from a hydraulic point of view, that water shedding results, in creating unstable condition in your reticulation system, especially when you open and close valves. There is air that goes into the system and actually contribute to burst pipes, as well as it creates, quality related issues because we encourage the breed of bacteria, within the reticulation system. What we're going to be doing is, and what we are encouraging consumers is to reduce consumption from 278 to about the available production of 230 that is available to us. That way, then we should be able then to circulate water around into the city to everyone else. So at this point in time, we're going to have a case of water shortages in particular areas, or what I call intermittent, water supply, but not necessarily we're going to not be embarking on water shedding.
What about the Kucha desalination plant? I mean, approval has been given. Why is that not in the works? Why are we not frantically ensuring that is underway?
As part of our, creating a resilient water institution going forward, we have actually signed off a takeoff agreement with Kucha CDC for them to actually implement, a desalination plan for us. And what we actually do is actually get a takeoff from them at a cost that has been agreed upon. They have actually gone out to the market, and obviously they are planning to implement. Once that has been completed, obviously we're going to actually then get water from that point of view. So there has been agreement already to actually install, a desalination with CDC.
Yeah, okay, but when? I mean, people are going to be without water. I mean, we're talking day zero. That was from tomorrow. What is tomorrow? Tomorrow's the 14th. I mean, help me with the days here, because I'm trying to get a matter of urgency going here. It just feels like that there's so many. We're talking about plans, and these things are going to happen. We're not sure exactly when, and it also feels that the political instability within the municipality has also caused this. That we'll talk about in a second, but. Give me timelines. I think the residents are desperate for timelines. They are absolutely worried. Many don't have water already. And now the risk that day zero is coming and that 40% of the areas are not going to have water, if not more, and that the dams are running dry. So we can't talk in future. We need to talk now. Talk to me about timelines for everything.
Okay, Leon, I think the desalination plan has been part of a medium-long term for the institution because of the expense that is associated with that intervention. In the short term, as I mentioned, there was groundwater which we are exploring. That's going to give us 30 megalitres on a daily basis. And as I've mentioned, it's a bit late, but obviously around August, September, we're going to get 30 megalitres into our reticulation grid. There is also an aqueduct, which has actually given up to plus or minus 210 megalitres on a daily basis. And those are the interventions that are in the short term giving us water that's going to actually lessen the impact of drought. Desalination, because of its expense, as well as, we learn from other cities as well, Cape Town did that in the short term, and it was a disaster in terms of, from a quality perspective, in terms of as well the expense which they have to pay for quite, a short period of time. So we had always planned, desalination as a medium long-term intervention that's going to create resilience into the future. And again, we're going to add it into the water mix to ensure that we have got, sustainable water for communities going forward.
Yeah. What about boreholes? I mean, that could be an easy fix. Have you done this on a great scale within certain areas?
Yes, yeah. Those are some of which I've just mentioned now. We have boreholes at Kukakop, which we actually drilled 2 years ago. And because of the quality of water, had iron and manganese in it, we are actually building a treatment facility that's going to be ready in September, and it's going to give us 15 megaliters, that is million liters on a daily basis. We also have got drilled, other boreholes, Bushy Park, St. George's, as well as Mogro. Again, combined, they're going to give us, again, 15 megaliters on a daily basis. And this is a long-term sustainable yield that we're going to put in our reticulation system. So boreholes has been an option, which we have actually studied quite some time, employed, the services of geohydrologists to look into the areas in the metro, and they've identified these certain areas that are giving this high yield, which we're going to put in our reticulation system.
Talk to me about the status of these dams. I mean, there's reports already that the Kucha Dam, the supply has been depleted. Can you confirm that?
It's actually Impofu Dam, which we are talking about. I think I read it, I listened to your intro.
Yeah.
It's Impofu Dam that we are currently using, floating pumps to actually draw water into our intake tower. At this point in time, the water has been depleted. We are actually trying to move the pumps to a separate location and ensure that, we continue to draw what you call dead storage from the dam. And up until such time, we have depleted that dam.
Yeah.
But at this point in time, Kocha, there's still quite water in there.
What percentage? What percentage are we talking about on Kucha Dam?
I think it should be about just 13%. Obviously, it's not a lot of water that is in that dam.
No. What about the quality of this water? Because with regard to E. coli levels at the Nelson Mandela Bay water supply, this was another worry, is that the kind of quality water that people are getting, if they're getting the water, the quality is not good.
Leanne, as part of the drought, obviously, we manage the quality aspect of it. And I think one of the biggest risks when you manage drought, we always deal with quality issues, especially when we have got intermittent supply, where we've got an on and off water disruption. Obviously, your reservoirs as well, for quite some time, they haven't been cleaned. There is an element of, a rustiness or milky water that goes through the reservoirs. That's one first aspect. But from an E. coli perspective, all our conventional treatment plants are geared to actually produce water of good quality. And the only risk is that we actually get water contaminated, within your value chain, within the reservoirs. When you open and close, when you get water air into the pipes, then there is actually breed of bacteria. So that risk is always there. But I think we have got mechanisms to continuously dose, chemicals into our reservoirs and ensure that, that quality is monitored, and we keep ensuring that, on a daily basis, we produce water that is good quality for our residents.
A lot of people have attributed, besides the fact that, yes, indeed, there has been a drought, but it's also the political up and down and the leadership issues that have been plaguing the municipality for now 2 municipal elections. I mean, there's literally been so many unstable coalitions that have been there in terms of, we've seen power changing hands 5 times within the area in as many years. I mean, would you say that this has also added to the instability and the situation you find yourselves in now?
Leanne, from a technical point of view, we have done everything that we can. I think the political arena, I can actually leave it for the politicians to comment. But I think from a technical point of view, we have put on a drought intervention plan, which we are pursuing at this point in time. And I think our focus at this point in time is to continue to provide water for basic consumption. I think the politicians can actually speak for themselves in terms of, governance issues.
All right. Well, we'll have to invite them on to talk about it. But just final question to you. When is day zero? People have been talking that it's this week. The dams are running empty. People are looking now to find water tankers. They're also feeling that there's not enough communication coming through with regard to hospitals and emergency places that are desperate for the water, as well as residents that go for days without water. Are you communicating enough with them, A? And B, when is day zero?
There's quite extensive communication that has gone on. That means the Metro has actually set up a joint operation center through our disaster management section to actually invite all the role players that are required in terms of, understanding how the situation is. Hospitals are involved. The Department of Health is involved, the police, the security cluster, and all other stakeholders that are instrumental in ensuring that there is, a continuity in terms of water supply in the city are quite involved. In terms of day zero, we have got quite a number of dams that's going to run dry. Obviously, if things doesn't change in the next if we don't receive heavy rains, or if we actually continue on the draw-off that we are currently doing, Churchill Dam, we are looking at plus or minus 7 days. Impofu Dam, we are looking at plus or minus 10 days. And I think Luri Dam, that gets its water from Kocha Dam, we are looking at plus or minus 70 days. So I think those are the projections based on, variables that we have looked into.
All right, let's leave it there. Thanks for your time, Joseph. We really do appreciate it. And Joseph Tsatsire talking to us